What if I told you that the fate of the entire world rested on a lie, and the greatest hero of Middle-earth was never supposed to survive? Welcome to our podcast on The Lord of the Rings, where we uncover the darkest secrets behind Tolkien's masterpiece. From the corrupting power of the ring to the chilling truth about Gollum and the shocking reason why Frodo fails at the very end. This isn't just a fantasy tale, it's a psychological epic about power, addiction, and betrayal. Stay with us what you think you know about. The Lord of the Rings is about to be shattered. Hello, everyone. Hi, all, and welcome to BookPodCastZone. I'm your host, Emma.
Yeah, I'm John. Really looking forward to this, getting into the deeper layers of what Tolkien created here. It's such an incredible story.
Absolutely. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings audiobook, which is narrated just beautifully by BookPodCastZone. And our mission really is to go beyond just the surface story, the fantasy elements. We want to pull out the really vital insights from the summaries, look at the historical context that, really shaped Tolkien's writing.
Which is huge, yeah.
And connect it all to real-world examples, things that still resonate so deeply with us today. This isn't just about tracking the plot, it's about digging into those timeless human struggles woven right into the fabric of this epic.
Exactly. It's like an exploration of the human condition itself, just cloaked in this amazing fantasy setting. It holds up a mirror, really, to our own lives, our own societies.
Okay, so let's jump right into Book 1, Chapter 1, A Long-Expected Party. Tolkien kicks things off with Bilbo's big birthday, his 111th.
The 111st, yeah.
Right. And it's this incredibly vivid picture of Hobbit life, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Shire, the food, the drink, the fireworks, that strong sense of community.
It's pure comfort, pure tradition.
But then, almost out of nowhere, Bilbo uses the ring, this simple gold band, to just vanish. Poof, makes his grand exit and leaves the ring to Frodo. So what do you think Tolkien's doing here? Starting with this perfect Shire scene and then, bam, introducing the ring right away.
Well, it's brilliant, isn't it? He immediately introduces this seductive lure, this hint of power, right there in the middle of all this innocence and plenty, the Shire itself, all that focus on simple pleasures, local community. It's pretty clearly Tolkien looking back, feeling nostalgic for a pre-industrial England.
Yeah, you can feel that.
A world he saw disappearing fast, chewed up by industry and the trauma of 2 world wars.
Yeah.
So the ring, it's not just some magic item. Instantly, it starts to symbolize those corrupting forces.
Like what kind of forces?
Well, maybe unchecked ambition or the sort of dehumanizing side of technology he was witnessing, or really any kind of power that's used without wisdom.
Yeah.
It echoes those really destructive ideologies that were swirling around in his time, post-World War II especially.
And that community feel in the Shire, everyone together for the party, the shared traditions, it really does feel so similar to, say, small-town corny fairs you still see across America today.
Absolutely.
That need for shared experience, local identity, that sense of belonging, it's enduring.
It is that connection to a rooted communal life is, universal. But then you look at the ring's promise. Maybe it's convenience, like Bilbo using it to avoid awkward farewells, or maybe it's secrecy, escape. But ultimately, its nature is to dominate.
Right.
And that insidious allure, that quiet promise, it feels strikingly like our modern struggles with, say, addictive technologies. Think about our smartphones.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
They promise connection, efficiency, all these great things. But for so many people, they become this really pervasive force, constantly demanding attention, reshaping habits, sometimes dominating our lives in ways we don't even fully grasp.
It's a powerful parallel. And I have to say, the way BookPodCastZone narrates those early Shire scenes, the feasts, the fireworks, it's so vivid, it just pulls you right in, which makes Bilbo's sudden vanishing act even more jarring. It's like the perfect little foreshadowing of the disruption that ring is going to cause.
Absolutely. Sets the stage perfectly.
Okay, so moving on, we get to Book 1, Chapter 2, The Shadow of the Past. Now, Frodo has the ring, but he's basically clueless about what it really is.
Just a keepsake from Bilbo.
Exactly. Until Gandalf returns and drops this bombshell, revealing its dark, dark history, connecting it straight to Sauron, the Dark Lord. This is where Frodo's burden, his real journey, truly begins.
It is.
How does this moment really define Frodo's path, and what's Tolkien saying here about, duty or destiny?
Yeah, this chapter is absolutely fundamental. It drills down on those core themes, duty and sacrifice. Frodo is, he's an ordinary hobbit, loves comfort, quiet life, pipe weed.
Right, not exactly hero material by Shire standard.
Not at all. And he accepts this burden he never asked for. It's just thrust upon him. And the ring's history, this ancient dark lineage, it immediately introduces the idea that evil persists. It's not something you just defeat once and it's gone. It lingers, it adapts, it finds new ways.
That feels very resonant with Tolkien's own life, doesn't it?
Deeply. It echoes his experiences in World War I, absolutely, where ordinary soldiers, just like Frodo in many ways, had to bear these immense, almost unimaginable burdens. They faced these persistent, destructive forces, these ideologies that shaped the 20th century that just seemed relentless.
I think Frodo's choice there to leave his home, his comfort, knowing the danger, it finds a really powerful echo in the actions of modern whistleblowers.
That's an interesting comparison.
Well, think about someone like Edward Snowden back in 2013. He risked everything, his safety, his freedom to expose what he believed was, government overreach, mass surveillance. He was driven by this overwhelming sense of duty, right? Despite the almost unbelievable personal cost. It's that profound decision to willingly walk into danger for a principle you believe is bigger than yourself.
That's a very apt parallel. And you really feel that weight, don't you, in the audiobook narration by BookPodCastZone, Gandalf's voice. It's so grave.
It really is.
The pacing, the way he delivers those lines about the ring's history, it just conveys the sheer gravity of what Frodo is taking on. It makes you, the listener, feel that heavy burden settling on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now, if you're finding this deep dive as fascinating as we are and you want more insights like this, please do remember to like, subscribe, and share. It really helps us keep bringing you these explorations.
Please do.
So let's move on. The tension really starts to ramp up in Book 1, Chapter 12, Flake to the Ford. We see Frodo being hunted relentlessly by the Black Riders, the Nuzh Ghoul.
Terrifying.
Utterly terrifying. These figures of pure fear. He's desperately trying to reach Rivendell, that place of sanctuary. He's guided by Strider, who we later learn is Aragorn, of course, and then gets that crucial help from Glorfindel right at the end, allowing him to cross the ford of Bruinen and escape just barely. What's this chase sequence really telling us about courage and maybe the importance of having allies?
Well, it's a masterclass, really, in showing courage under constant, relentless pressure. And it absolutely hammers home how crucial allies are.
You can't do it alone.
Exactly. It highlights trust, teamwork, when you're facing these overwhelming, terrifying odds. And the Nazgul themselves, they're not just monsters, are they? They symbolize something deeper.
Like what?
Abstract fear, maybe. Oppressive, pervasive power. The kind of dread inspired by the totalitarian regimes Tolkien saw rising and spreading in his lifetime. That feeling of being hunted by something inescapable. His chase, this constant threat, it directly reflects Tolkien's own wartime experiences again. Soldiers facing constant existential danger, relying completely on their comrades, their fellow soldiers, just to survive the next hour, the next day.
And the Hobbit's reliance on Strider there, this mysterious figure who turns out to be so capable. It feels surprisingly current, actually, when you think about modern refugee crises.
How so?
Well, people fleeing war or oppression, they often have to put their entire lives, their trust, into the hands of guides, right? Like aid workers helping migrants navigate incredibly dangerous borders, whether it's, near the U.S. border or elsewhere in the world.
That's a striking point.
Yeah. They're trying to help people escape immense danger, find safety, that complete trust in a stranger, often for your very survival. It's incredibly powerful, just like the Hobbit's trusting Strider.
It is, and the BookPodCastZone narration just nails the urgency of that chase. You can almost hear the hoofbeats, feel the cold dread of the Nazgul closing in, the vocal shifts, maybe subtle sound effects they use.
Yeah.
It really ramps up the terror, makes it incredibly gripping to listen to.
Totally. So from that harrowing chase, we arrive at this really pivotal moment of decision-making. Book 2, Chapter 2, the Council of Elrond.
Ah, yes, the big meeting.
Exactly. All these different threads of Middle-earth kind of converge here. You've got leaders from all the free peoples gather in Rivendell debating what on earth to do about the ring.
High stakes, lots of different opinions.
Definitely. So many strong personalities, conflicting ideas, elves, dwarves, men, Gandalf. Yet ultimately, who steps up? It's Frodo. The smallest, arguably the most unassuming figure there. He volunteers to take the ring to Mordor to destroy it.
An impossible task.
Right, and this is the moment the Fellowship is actually formed. So what does this gathering, this council, tell us about unity, maybe, in the face of impossible odds? And what about the burden of leadership that falls on Frodo?
It's a brilliant chapter for exploring exactly that, unity and diversity. And yeah, the immense weight of leadership, even when it's not sought. Frodo's selflessness. I mean, he steps forward despite his fear, despite knowing he lacks the strength of warriors like Boromir or Aragorn. That's really a defining part of his heroism.
It is.
And the fellowship itself, the group that forms around him. It's such a potent symbol of collective responsibility, isn't it? You have representatives from different races, each bring their own strengths, their own weaknesses, their own histories, uniting against this single, common, overwhelming threat.
It feels very intentional.
Oh, absolutely. It directly mirrors those big post-World War II alliances. Think about the formation of the United Nations, for instance.
Yeah.
Groups formed specifically to counter global threats, to try and prevent future catastrophes. Tolkien lived through an era where nations with vastly different backgrounds had to unite against fascism. The Fellowship is very much a fantasy reflection of that kind of necessary coalition.
You can definitely draw a line from that to current global efforts too, can't you? Like, think about international climate summits.
For example?
Well, the Paris Agreement in 2015, you had all these diverse nations, countries with really different economic situations, political viewpoints, all coming together, trying to unite for a common goal, tackling a global crisis.
Requires compromise.
Huge compromise, shared vision, and a willingness for some to step up and lead, even when it's difficult, just like at Elrond's council.
It's a very good analogy. And again, the audiobook narration by BookPodCastZone really brings that council to life. You hear the distinct voices, Elrond's wisdom, Gandalf's urgency, Boromir's pride, Gimli's grumbling.
Yeah.
It makes those debates feel so vivid, so real. You can almost feel the weight of the history being discussed, the gravity of the decision they finally reach.
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Moving into Book 3, Chapter 4, Treebeard. Now, Merry and Pippin, they've been separated from the Fellowship after Boromir's fall, and they stumble into Fangorn Forest and meet the Ents.
The tree shepherds,
Yeah.
ancient beings.
Ancient, awe-inspiring, these tree-like giants, and Treebeard himself, the oldest of them all. He's initially so slow, so cautious, right? Don't be hasty.
Famously so, yes.
But eventually, hearing about Saruman's betrayal, his destruction of the trees, Treebeard rallies the Ents and they march on Isengard, Saruman's fortress. This isn't just another battle in the war, it feels like nature itself striking back against industrialization.
Oh, completely. This section is a powerful statement about environmental stewardship and about the slow, maybe underestimated, but ultimately unstoppable force of nature when it's pushed too far.
The Ents' anger.
Exactly. Their anger, their decision to finally act, to march.
Yeah.
It directly reflects this deep resistance to exploitation.
Yeah.
And this was heavily influenced by Tolkien's own feelings.
About England.
Yeah, his dismay at seeing the English countryside changing so rapidly due to industrialization, the deforestation, the machine encroaching on the green world he loved, it absolutely echoes those early environmental movements that started gaining traction, really, in the post-WWII era. A warning about disregarding the planet.
And the Ents march on Isengard. This slow, deliberate, but incredibly powerful awakening of nature. It really does parallel some modern environmental activism, doesn't it?
In what way?
Well, think about the global climate strikes, movements often led by young people like Greta Thunberg, but involving millions. People collectively raising their voices, maybe slowly at first, but with growing force, challenging destructive industries, demanding action on climate change. It's like a collective, powerful voice speaking up for nature, for our shared future, much like the Ents finally finding their voice.
That's a strong connection. And the narration in the audiobook. BookPodCastZone gives Treebeard this deep, resonant voice.
Oh, it's perfect.
It perfectly evokes that ancient wisdom, that connection to the earth, and the pacing they use for his speech, that deliberate, unhurried quality. It mirrors the Ents' own nature perfectly. It makes you feel the immense age and the sheer weight of their purpose when they finally decide to act.
You really feel the ground shake when they start moving. It's incredible. Okay, moving deeper into the story, into Book 4, Chapter 5, The Window on the West. Frodo and Sam are on their arduous journey, just the two of them mostly, heading towards Mordor, and they encounter Faramir.
Boromir's younger brother, captain of Gondor.
Right. And this is such a crucial moment, isn't it, for exploring themes like loyalty, temptation, because Faramir has the Ringbearer right there in his grasp. He could take the ring.
Just like Boromir tried to.
Exactly. But he doesn't. He resists that lure, that temptation that broke his brother. Instead, he chooses to help Frodo and Sam, letting them go on their way. What makes Faramir's character so significant here, especially in contrast to Boromir?
Faramir is, well, he's defined by his moral integrity, isn't he? His rejection of power, specifically the ring's power, for the sake of honor, for doing what's right.
It's a stark contrast.
A very stark contrast to Boromir's struggle and ultimate failure. Faramir embodies those perhaps idealized post-war ideals of rebuilding with honor, prioritizing principles, integrity, the common good, over conquest or personal gain.
Where do you think that comes from in Tolkien's writing?
Well, his deep Catholic faith undoubtedly plays a role here. That strong emphasis on resisting temptation, on moral fortitude, even when the easier path, the path to power, is right there in front of you. Faramir makes the harder but morally correct choice.
And Faramir's restraint, that conscious choice to put ethics above power, it really does mirror some leaders we've seen in our own world, people who showed similar moral courage.
Any examples come to mind?
Well, a powerful one is Nelson Mandela, his leadership during South Africa's transition from apartheid in the 1990s.
Yes. A towering figure.
Absolutely. He had every reason, arguably, to seek retribution after decades of oppression. But he chose reconciliation, unity, forgiveness over vengeance. He guided his nation towards healing, based on principle, not power grabs. It's that same kind of profound moral restraint Faramir shows.
That's a very powerful example. And the BookPodCastZone narration for Faramir,
yeah,
it's quite nuanced, isn't it? They capture his calm wisdom, his quiet strength.
You can hear it.
It contrasts so sharply with the ring's seductive whispers, that sense of urgency and desire it creates in others.
Yeah.
It makes Faramir's moral decision, his rejection of its power, feel incredibly impactful, incredibly profound when you listen to it.
It really solidifies him as a different kind of hero.
Absolutely. A hero of character, not just action.
Okay, now for a truly epic moment. A major turning point. Book 5, Chapter 6, The Battle of the Peliner Fields.
The Siege of Minas Tirith. Huge scale.
Absolutely massive. This incredible clash between the forces of Rohan and Gondor against Sauron's overwhelming armies pouring out of Mordor. It's this moment of desperate last-stand defense. But what really truly stands out amidst all the chaos and heroism
is Eowyn.
And Merry, actually. Two characters who, let's be honest, were often underestimated throughout the story.
Definitely.
And they achieve the impossible. They confront and slay the Witch King of Angmar, the Lord of the Nuzh Ghoul, who no living man could kill. How does this moment kind of redefine heroism in Tolkien's world?
Well, it's a huge demonstration of courage coming from unexpected places, from the underestimated. And it's about the sheer power of defiance against seemingly unbeatable evil.
Especially Eowyn.
Especially Eowyn, yes. Her role here is, frankly, revolutionary for the time Tolkien was writing. She shatters the gender norms of her Rohirrim society. She disguises herself as a man, rides to war, and achieves what the strongest male warriors could not. It proves heroism isn't confined by tradition or just physical strength.
It's about courage and will.
Exactly. And the battle itself, the sheer scale, the horror, the desperate courage, it absolutely echoes the massive, devastating battles of World War I. Tolkien saw ordinary soldiers, people considered unimportant by the grand strategists, achieve incredible feats of bravery in the face of just unimaginable horror. His comrades.
Right.
And Eowyn's defiance, her stepping into that warrior role. It also subtly reflects the huge, often unacknowledged contributions women made during wartime back home, taking on roles previously unthinkable while the men were away.
Her stand against the Witch King, defying his prophecy, defying his power. It really parallels women who have broken barriers in our own time too, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, think about someone like Malala Yousafzai. In the 2010s, facing incredible threats from the Taliban, she bravely, persistently advocated for girls' education.
Incredible courage.
She showed that conviction, that courage can stand up to seemingly insurmountable obstacles, can defy powerful forces determined to silence them. It's that same spirit of defiance Eowyn embodies.
That's a great connection. And you can bet the BookPodCastZone narration really cranks up the intensity for this battle.
Oh, absolutely.
They'd likely use dramatic shifts in tone, maybe music or sound cues, especially for Eowyn's confrontation, really immersing you in the action, the desperation, the sheer emotional stakes of that moment when she declares, "I am no man."
Gives you chills just thinking about it. All right, we've reached it. The absolute climax of the entire saga. Book 6, Chapter 3, Mount Doom.
The end of the line.
The end of the line. Frodo and Sam, after this agonizing, soul-destroying journey, they finally reach the Sammath Naur, the cracks of doom, deep in the fiery heart of Mordor, the one place the ring can be unmade.
They made it, against all odds.
They made it, but then, at the critical moment, standing right there on the precipice, Frodo succumbs. The ring's power is just too overwhelming. He claims it for his own. He cannot bring himself to destroy it.
He fails.
Yeah.
After everything.
He fails. And it's Gollum appearing out of nowhere, desperate for his precious, who bites the ring off Frodo's finger, and then, in his mad joy, accidentally stumbles and falls into the fire, taking the ring with him.
Destroying it, and Sauron by accident.
By accident. This ultimate failure by Frodo, it's so complex, so unsettling. What does it really tell us about the nature of power, its corrupting influence? And what about this unexpected role of, well, fate or providence?
Yeah, this is maybe the most profound and frankly the most challenging moment in the whole story, because it drives home the utterly corrupting nature of that kind of absolute power.
Even for Frodo.
Even for Frodo, the purest heart, the greatest endurance, wasn't enough in the end. The ring tainted him beyond his own will to resist at the very last moment. But it also, as you say, underscores this fascinating, almost paradoxical role of providence, or maybe just sheer desperate chance.
And Sam's role there.
Oh, Sam's loyalty. Unwavering. Even when Frodo claims the ring, even in that moment of apparent betrayal, Sam's fundamental loyalty holds. It's this incredible testament to the strength, the redemptive power of friendship, of simple goodness.
So the ring's destruction,
Yeah.
it reflects maybe post-war hope.
I think so, yeah. Hopes for dismantling those huge oppressive systems, those dark ideologies. But crucially, Tolkien shows it doesn't happen through a perfect hero executing a flawless plan. It's messy. It involves failure, accident, and maybe, as you said, providence. Tolkien's deep Christian faith almost certainly influenced this theme, the idea that a larger unseen hand might guide events towards a good outcome, even through, or maybe especially through, human weakness and failure.
That relentless grip the ring has on Frodo right up to the end. That power to corrupt even the noblest intentions. It feels so much like the struggles with addiction we see in the real world.
That's a very relevant comparison today.
Think about the opioid crisis, for example, that we've seen across the U.S. Individuals trapped by a substance's power, often despite their desperate desire to break free.
The substance takes over.
Exactly. And often recovery isn't just about willpower. It requires external help. Sometimes it's an intervention, maybe not as dramatic as Gollum, but support from others. Community programs, therapy, support groups that provides the help needed to break free from that grip. Frodo's moment isn't necessarily a moral failing in the conventional sense. It's a terrifying demonstration of the sheer, overwhelming force of that addictive power.
And what's truly fascinating here, just thinking about it, is how Frodo's ultimate failure, his inability to willingly destroy the ring, his succumbing to its power, that very act is paradoxically the thing that enables the mission to succeed.
Because Gollum attacks him for it.
Exactly. Through Gollum's desperate, obsessed act, it really makes you question, doesn't it? Is true heroism always about achieving perfect strength? About never faltering? About succeeding entirely on your own terms?
Or is it something else?
Or can it involve bearing an impossible burden, carrying it almost to the end, even succumbing to it? And still, through these unforeseen, almost miraculous circumstances, serving that larger vital purpose, it really challenges our conventional ideas of what it means to be a hero.
It absolutely does. And the BookPodCastZone narration in that scene, capturing Frodo's final struggle, the torment, and Sam's steadfast love and loyalty. It's just incredibly powerful, deeply, deeply moving, almost painful to listen to, but in the most compelling way.
Captures the weight perfectly.
Okay, so the ring is destroyed, Sauron is vanquished, we finally arrive at the end. Book 6, Chapter 9, The Grey Havens.
Return journey and the farewell.
Right. The hobbits return to the Shire, but it's not the same Shire they left. It's been scarred, hasn't it, by Saruman's petty tyranny during the scouring of the Shire. So even victory has this shadow over it.
A bitter taste, yeah.
And then Frodo, he saved the world, but he's marked by it, isn't he? He can't find peace back home. So he departs Middle-earth, sailing from the Grey Havens to the Undying Lands with Gandalf, Bilbo, Elrond, Galadriel, essentially passing the torch, the responsibility of healing the Shire, to Sam. It's such a bittersweet ending.
Profoundly bittersweet.
Yeah. A victory, absolutely, but one that came at an immense personal cost for the hero.
This final chapter, it's so much about healing, or sometimes the impossibility of complete healing from deep trauma. And yeah, the inherently bittersweet nature of any great victory, especially after conflict. The war is won, the world is saved, but the cost, it's staggering.
Frodo's departure really underscores that.
It really does. It reflects that profound, lasting cost of heroism. He bore the ring, he carried that burden, and it left this indelible mark, didn't it? Physically, with the Morgul knife wound and Shelob's sting, but psychologically too. A wound that Middle-earth, the ordinary world, just couldn't fully heal.
And the Shire needing restoration.
That mirrors the huge task of post-war rebuilding. Think of Europe after World War II. Cleaning up, rebuilding, trying to find normalcy again. And Frodo's departure itself, his inability to truly settle back into that normal life. It deeply echoes the struggles many veterans face with reintegration.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
They've borne immense burdens, seen and experienced things others can't comprehend, and coming home doesn't always mean finding peace.
That lingering pain Frodo carries, even after the celebrations, after the Shire is cleaned up, it feels incredibly similar to PTSD in veterans.
Absolutely.
Many carry those invisible wounds long after the conflict ends. They can't just slot back into the normal life they left behind. And it really highlights how important support systems are, like therapy groups, community programs that help veterans process and recover.
And Sam's role.
And Sam. Sam is Frodo's support system, isn't he? His continuous, unwavering loyalty and friendship right to the very end, even accompanying him to the Havens. Sam becomes Frodo's anchor, the one who helps him carry on even when the world around them can't fully grasp the depth of his sacrifice.
Beautifully put. And the audiobook narration for this final chapter, BookPodCastZone, captures that bittersweet tone perfectly. There's a gentleness, a quietness to the pace for that emotional farewell at the Grey Havens.
Yeah, you feel the finality.
You really do. It
Yeah.
resonates. It allows you to feel the weight of everything that's happened, the sorrow of parting, but also maybe a quiet sense of peace, a hope for what remains. It's a very complex, very moving ending.
So, looking back over our whole journey today, we've traveled through The Lord of the Rings, not just as, an amazing fantasy adventure, but as this really profound psychological epic.
So many layers.
We've really tried to unpack that insidious, corrupting nature of power embodied by the ring. We've looked at the immense burdens of duty and sacrifice placed on ordinary individuals. We've seen heroism bloom in the most unexpected people, the underestimated ones. And we've confronted the incredible, sometimes devastating, cost of achieving victory.
Themes of addiction, too. Betrayal.
Absolutely. Addiction, betrayal, the slow, persistent way evil works. But also, countering that, the enduring strength you find in community, in loyalty and friendship, especially when facing overwhelming darkness.
So if we try to connect all this to the bigger picture, thinking especially about Frodo's failure at Mount Doom, his inability to destroy the ring himself, and the immense lasting price he paid for even carrying it, what is Tolkien really telling us about what heroism means?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Is it fundamentally about achieving victory through your own perfect strength, about never faltering, about succeeding purely on your own merits?
Yeah.
Or is it perhaps more about the endurance, about bearing the burden, carrying it as far as humanly possible, even if that final decisive step requires something unforeseen, something almost miraculous, maybe even stemming from your own moment of weakness? And if it's the latter, what does that perspective tell us about the burdens we all carry today in our own lives, in our own world? And how should we define success or even heroism in a reality where perfect, unblemished solutions are almost always out of reach?
That's a really powerful thought to leave our listeners with, a lot to mull over there. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Tolkien's masterpiece. We really hope we've maybe shattered some of what you thought you knew about The Lord of the Rings and perhaps offered you a new, maybe richer perspective to appreciate it from.
It's been a pleasure discussing it.
We definitely encourage you to explore Tolkien's incredible work yourselves. Maybe pick up the books again, or perhaps listen to BookPodCastZone's excellent narration, which honestly just brings Middle-earth to life in such a fantastic way. And please do make sure to continue engaging with BookPodCastZone. We'll have more deep dives into complex topics, fascinating stories, things that we hope will captivate you and give you plenty to think about. Until next time, keep exploring.